When I was diagnosed with acute lymphatic leukemia, my immediate mindset was get the treatment underway and get back to uni. And I had the summer holidays to get through and figure out a way to make it all work, and we would literally not be missing a beat. Well, these sorts of blood disorders don't allow you to not miss a beat. And immediately my family, my mother who'd moved away from Geelong, moved back to Geelong. Some very close family friends, the McHenry family, very well-known family in Geelong, looked after me while my mother was moving back to Geelong. And importantly, Deakin University, where I'd spent the first 3 years of my adult life, became like a family to me. And in particular, the science faculty, where I was one of the few young girls or teenagers doing science degree in maths and statistics, a very non-traditional set of study for a young female. That faculty wrapped its arms around me, and Dr. Ian Collings, Ross Golan, Gary Ridgway, these were the lecturers that looked out and said, listen, we're going to look after her. We're not going to pass her without her doing the work, of course, but here's someone who desperately wants to get to the other side. Here's someone that's a member of our community. And frankly, I would not be here today without that groundswell of support who believed that together we could get through and we would all benefit from a fit, healthy person on the other side. Over a course of 2 years, the daily chemotherapy for acute lymphatic leukemia literally knocks the living daylights out of you. So after 2 years, being in remission and given the all clear to get back to some semblance of normal living meant that you were a bit of a shell of your former self. So I looked like me, I had my hair back, I'd finished my university studies, I was doing my master's degree already, and I was lecturing. So I was back into the full swing of life, almost like I'd never missed a beat. However, I was medically well, but I wasn't physically and mentally fit and healthy. And I was very, very lucky that a friend of mine, another great friend of Geelong, Jeff Beckworth, who was a lecturer at the university, I said, listen, I'm actually not having much fun. You know, I'm back to normal, but there's been 2 years of hardship and it's time to have a bit of fun, and also I'm not feeling very fit and healthy. So he said, come on a bike ride. You will get fit, you'll be outdoors, it's fun. Cycling is a very social pastime. It's also very mentally stimulating because you're out in different environments, you're seeing different people, and if you actually liked it as a sport, it's a very mentally challenging sport. So, lo and behold, I went on a bike ride for a whole week and covered 600 kilometres called the Great Queensland Bike Ride. There's a similar ride in Victoria called the Great Victorian Bike Ride, which comes through the Great Ocean Road in Geelong every 4 years. After a week of riding from zero fitness, I decided I was going to take up cycling as a sport, and the rest is history. So I took up cycling as a sport in 1993. A local girl riding with the local Geelong Cycling Club, and Jeff Regan owned the bike store back then in Belmont. The lads in Geelong took me under their wing and taught me everything I needed to know to be a high-level cyclist. The next step was, where do I go to get the support to go to elite level? And again, another Geelong person, Donna Ray-Zelensky, who was a renowned Geelong person, a renowned high-performance cycling coach, took me under her wing. She said, you've just got to win bike races. But she taught me what I needed to know to make it to the Australian national team. And from starting cycling competitively in early 93, I went to the World Championships in 1994. I went to the Olympic Games in 1996 and unfortunately crashed due to a mechanical. That was pretty soul-destroying. Your whole life is geared towards 1 3-hour block in time, and something out of your control takes you out. That's another learning in life. I took a year off in 1997. And in 98, my husband said, you're really cranky, you need to get back on your bike again and keep going. You've got plenty more miles in those legs. And by 1999, only 2 years back in, I was riding on a professional team in Europe. And at that stage, under the auspices of the most successful female cyclist ever, and her name is Jeannie Longo, And I became her lead rider, and over the course of that year rose to number 3 in the world. And I'm very proud of that, but mostly proud of the environment here that helped me with the training ground, with friends, with family and local comrades, so that when you're away overseas for 6 or 7 or 8 months of the year, you truly know where home is. As a bike rider, this was my training ground, and you could ride down to Bowen Heads on a short ride, down to Lorne, a slightly longer ride, out towards Bannockburn. So easy to get out of the city and to be amongst countryside. There's so much to love about Geelong, and I wouldn't say it's a sleeping giant because we want to keep it secret.